Hello everyone, and welcome to my Rimworld lore series, where we analyze the game from a lore point of view. As you know, we began the series by talking about space traveling, and then the next subject was the Xenohumans. For those who haven't watched the previous videos, Xenotypes or Xenohumans are the closest thing the Rimworld universe has to different sentient species. While wildly different in behavior, biology, and social aspects, Xenohumans are all the result of human bioengineering. Regular humans without any modifications are referred to as baseliners, while Xenohumans all have a different denomination. It is true that there are essentially a gargantuan number of possible Xenohumans, as combining two or multiple genes will create a new xenogerm never seen before, but so far in the series we have covered strictly the ones that have been present in the game by default. But today we are wrapping up the chapter on the Xenohumans. Today is time for the last entry, and oh boy, did I want to save the best for last. Today we are going to talk about the Sanguophages. Sanguophages can be described in many different ways. The short description can be encapsulated within a single word: vampires. The long description is, well, rather long. Brace for it. Sanguophages are first of all the most genetically complex xenohuman type we know of in the Rimworld universe. Their genetic complexity score racks up for a total of 57. If you want to put into perspective, the second most genetically complex xenohumans are the Hazars and the Himates, with a genetic complexity of 16. Despite all of this, in terms of looks, Sanguophages are nearly identical to baseliners. At first sight, they are hard to distinguish one from another. In fact, it's pretty much impossible, as on the outside they look very normal, with no abnormal or oddly specific features, excepting the fact that Sanguophages are all generally considered to be attractive in terms of looks. What hides beneath that, though, is a completely different story. Let's start with their genes. As you know, genes can be separated in three different categories. The first category are the germline genes, also referred to as endogenes. These are genes that are inherited through birth, like the genes of the Itaki or the Impids, for example. The second category are the xenogenes, genes that are not inheritable through birth, rather they are pre-existent genes that are modified during an individual's life, like the Hazars or the Himates. The third category is the most interesting one, the archite genes. While germline genes and xenogenes are the result of evolution and bioengineering, archite genes are a type of gene created by an architect. If you don't know, architects are essentially the closest thing to a god in Rimworld. They are supercomputer AIs that have managed to take over entire planets, converting the planets themselves to a singular computer, capable of doing almost anything. There are a lot of architects spread across the universe, each with their own personality and mysterious goals. While some are completely benevolent, others intend for nothing but the destruction of every life form across the universe. There is a lot to say about architects, but that is a subject that belongs to another video. Back to the Sanguophages for now. So, as mentioned previously, the third gene category is the archite genes, and Sanguophages are the only known xenotype in possession of such genes. If you're wondering why, then we must trace back thousands of years in the past, back to the apparition of the very first Sanguophage. Once upon a time, a very wealthy man going by the title of Lord Explorer and by the name of Varan Dur recognized the great power that lied within architects. During one of his travels, he sought to control one for his own personal reasons, but instead, the architect ended up taking control of him, transforming Varan Dur into the very first Sanguophage in the universe. Now, in one way or another, every Sanguophage in existence is, in a very, very distant way, a descendant of Varan Dur, which also explains why Sanguophages are the only xenotype that carry archite genes, because they are the only xenotype created by an architect rather than other humans. What happened further to Varan Dur is unknown, but we can speculate that he proceeded to turn as many others as he possibly could into Sanguophages, given how widespread they have become across the universe. So, how does one become a Sanguophage exactly? What is the process beyond their creation? Well, one of their archite genes that Sanguophages bear is an innate gene implanter. The gene implanter allows the implantation of one's genes through an injector organ. Where this organ is located or what it looks like is not specified, but if we are to follow the lore, which details that Sanguophages are not recognizable in terms of looks from other baseliners, we can make an educated guess and assume that the organ is located either within their mouth, stomach, or hidden beneath their skin and is essentially a retractable organ. If you ask my personal opinion, I believe it looks somewhat like a tentacle with a hard pointy end, located within the roof of one's mouth, buried through flesh and comes out only when needed. It is important to note that, through this organ, Sanguophages can implant a copy of their xenogerm within someone else, but by doing so, they must use and damage their own genetic material, which will enter a regrowth phase. If they implant someone else during this regrowth phase, they will die. For the next archite genes found within a Sanguophage, we have the secret to eternal life. Through these extremely complicated genes, Sanguophages are essentially almost immortal. Their metabolism is perfectly optimized, which is how they manage to sustain themselves despite the amount of genetic complexity they have. Their scars and affections related to old age will heal themselves, and they have an immunity towards many diseases such as flu, malaria, lung rot, the plague, or any type of infection. Sanguophages are also immune towards any illness related to old age, such as cancer, dementia, cataracts, heart attacks, or asthma. And speaking of aging, Sanguophages age very slowly when they become 13 years old and stop aging by the age of 18, as their bloodstream contains a gigantic number of archites which work constantly to reverse the aging process within their body. But perhaps the most interesting gene they have is the Deathrest one. You heard correctly. As long as their head remains intact and is not destroyed upon receiving a type of fatal injury, Sanguophages will not die. Rather, they will enter a regenerative coma, where all of the archites within their blood will be focused completely on simply preserving the brain alive, until every fatal condition is removed. It is important to note that this coma does not regenerate a Sanguophage's lost limbs, and within that time they will be extremely vulnerable, so the only way to truly kill a Sanguophage will be to decapitate it, or better yet, just to be sure, destroy their brain completely. Now, by this point you will think that this is it, but we are not even close. What we have described so far are Sanguophage's archite genes, but they also bear a large number of other genes as well. A very important gene is the hemogenic one. Sanguophages draw their strength and sustain themselves through a biological resource called Hemogen, which is created from blood. Just like traditional vampires, Sanguophages require human blood in order to function properly, which is extracted from other humans through the use of retractable fangs and a small organ located on the roof of their mouth. It is important to note that Sanguophages cannot gain Hemogen from the blood of another Sanguophage, most likely because other Sanguophages will have already converted or extracted all of the Hemogen from their own blood. While this Hemogen can be stored within their body, Sanguophages can expend it, like a resource, in order to strengthen themselves and gain access to a variety of abilities. Within their upper chest, Sanguophages grow an opening filled with keratin spikes, which can be shot from close range with surprisingly good accuracy. Their legs are also strengthened by Hemogen-powered muscle fibers, which allow them to jump for great distances. We can assume that those legs will also be used for kicking with great strength. Sanguophages also have a special gland on their palms and wrists, which, upon the consumption of Hemogen stored within their bodies, allows them to produce a special saliva that can be used to coagulate and rapidly treat wounds. The next chapter is going to be about Deathrest. Sanguophages need to sleep less than the average baseliner, but they will require to periodically regenerate themselves in a special coma called Deathrest, which can take several days. If Sanguophages are unable to enter Deathrest, they will incur a special type of ailment called Deathrest exhaustion, which will severely reduce their consciousness, degrade their psychic sensitivity, and lower their mood. While Deathrest could be performed virtually anywhere, Sanguophages have developed a special technology to aid them with this process. The Deathrest process can be not only sped up, but even improved through the use of Hemogen technology. The first part of this is the Deathrest casket. By resting within this medical casket, Sanguophages will be able to speed up the process and wake up sooner than they would by simply death resting in bed. Deathrest caskets can be further connected to other Hemogen powered devices, which will improve the deathrest quality even further. The devices are as follows. The Hemopump. This blood refining pump increases the amount of Hemogen a death resting person can store in their body. The Glucozoid Pump. This device allows a death rester to move faster after death rest is complete. It pumps the body with extra muscle signaling factors while cleaning waste products from muscle tissue. The effect lasts until the individual death rests again. The Psychofluid Pump. This device enhances the psychic sensitivity of a death resting person by rhythmically stimulating neural tissues. The Hemogen Amplifier. This device leaves a death rester in a Hemogen amplified state, so they gain more Hemogen from any Hemogen source. Using a gland probe and blood analyzer, it links with a death resting person, stimulating Hemogen glands into a more active state. The Death Rest Accelerator. This device connects with a death resting person and makes death rest complete quicker. It enhances the effect of the death rest casket using finer blood analysis and more powerful chemicals. It is important to note that all of these devices will be connected to the casket where a Sanguophage is going to rest in, meaning that by proxy they are connected directly to their body. Even with their incredible bodies, these are extremely powerful processes which can't be easily handled all at once, and the number of devices a Sanguophage will be able to link up during death rest will be determined by their death rest capacity, a biological feature that can be improved through the use of a special death rest capacity serum, a chemical concoction which will further improve the limits of a Sanguophage, allowing their body to connect to more devices at once while death resting. Biologically, the body of a Sanguophage is capable of far more than what I've mentioned above. They are fast runners, they can see in the dark, are immune to toxins and toxicity, their wounds heal extremely fast, and they bear a great psychic sensitivity. Apart from requiring blood to sustain themselves in a regular resting period, Sanguophages have other weaknesses as well. They have biological compounds in their skin that react painfully to UV radiation. They are unusually sensitive to sunlight, similar but not as bad as dirt moles are. Their skin is also sensitive to fire. They have dry, thin skin which burns easily from fire, and their immune system reacts very poorly to this kind of threat, which also causes Sanguophages to bear an extreme pyrophobia, causing them to have a possible mental breakdown just by being in proximity to a large source of fire. With this, we have finished breaking down the biology of the Sanguophages, but what about their social aspect? From a social point of view, Sanguophages are usually secretive about their identity. They tend to pose as baseliners, as they are often hunted down because of their strong power and need for blood. Because of this, Sanguophages have become very adept at hiding themselves from society on many planets, to the point where many people consider them to be just a legend, while others believe that they secretly direct and lead entire civilizations from behind the shadows. The stories even speak of eternal lords ruling billions from slate-blank space stations or directing blood sacrifices at conferences in the underlayers of the deepest herb worlds, which wouldn't be entirely wrong, as some Stellarchs from the Shattered Empire are actually Sanguophages, something that even the Emperor itself could be. With this, I have finished presenting to you the Sanguophages. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We are so close to reaching 1,000 subscribers, and that is gonna be a huge milestone for me. Leave down in the comments what would you like to see next, and I'll see you within my next video. Have a good night.